Alright, everybody. So, welcome to Math Antics, Math Lessons. Okay, so, there was going to be about 7 days. Okay, 7 days of this, 7 sessions, 7 days where I'm going to be teaching you, I'm going to be writing things up on the board, I'm going to be lecturing, you're going to be looking, and you're going to be learning and taking notes, okay? It's an optional kind of clubist-like thing, okay? Club in a class, okay? So I'm going to go over all of the content that we're going to be doing here, but, I just want to tell you, first of all, here, I want you don't have to write this down in your sticky notes, okay? But I want you, for those of you, because I know that you come from other Mintons than mine, because some of you may come from Mrs. Cockpins, or Mrs. Talea Talks, or Mrs. Groonies, or Mrs. Bell Books, or Shoops, or, Mrs. Thing, or Mrs. Tenson, I know that there was Mrs. Strong's Minton, the furthest away from here, so raise your hand if you are from my Minton. Okay, a couple of you. Labimbi Grosses, aka Julia Esconroll, leader and head of the Minton. She was the one who started. Oh, quite a bit of people in here. Yeah, her Minton really gets on the educational, purposes, like really stresses it a lot. I do too, but I think that she does a little bit more than I do. At least right now. Mrs. Groonies. Okay, Bundle Box. Wait, no, sorry. Bell Book. Okay, Shoops. Tenson's. Thing. Wait, there's not a Mrs. Thing. I'm sorry. Mrs. Did I say Talea Talk yet? Okay, and then Mrs. Cockpin. One person. Okay. Alright, okay. It's not really even. There's more from other Mintons than, say, other Mintons. But, there's a good mix in there. And, the Mintons are pretty big. Julie Esconroll lives way down in Arizona, but then she has that, super speeder to, to drive up here for the Minton headquarters, which she spends a good half of her time in the Minton headquarters, because she is really in charge of the Minton headquarters, in charge of the whole Minton. I am too. I am actually, all of the Lubimbis are equally in charge, but, Julia really takes the reins. So let's see here. Now that we got that cleared out, okay, you don't have to write your name, your Lubimbi or Minton on your sticky note, okay? But, oh my goodness, I forgot to turn that off. I was going to play a song, but you know what? Alright, so, I'm just going to give you the list of all of the things that we're going to be doing. You do not have to write this down. You can if you want, if it keeps it organized. We'll keep referring back to this. I'm just going to go through the list and kind of overview them. So, day 1, which is today, you should already know math and basic computation. A lot of you are elderly, as I can see from my very eyes, which it's probably been a while since you've been in school, and you should all, no matter what your ages, have been in school once before and learn all the stuff, and this may be a good review for you, and you may learn new ways of doing things and new concepts that you haven't learned. Okay, but this is going to be all of the information, all of the content that we're going to be learning for about 7 days. So, beginning today, so let's see here. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, then Monday, Tuesday. So from now until next Tuesday, okay? And I might try to vary the location, so we might go outside if it's really, really nice out. It's a little bit damp and wet out there right now, so I didn't want to do that, but, we probably will be going outside, if the weather's nice on one of those days, okay? It will be meeting at different times, okay? I will warn you that I am spontaneous, and I change my mind, and I kind of go off my plans and everything. So, just to tell you, okay, I might add something in, thinking it earlier and then, forgetting it, and then say adding it in a random time. Okay, so that's what I'm going to try to do. I'm trying to keep things light and fun and informal here as much as possible, although this is, learning and education and content lessons, okay? So, we're going to get right into it. You should all know what math is. I'm just going to review just, not, basic computational things like, say, 6 plus 9. You should already know that stuff. That's not what we're going to be doing, because that's not what I have planned. You should all know that. But we will go over with the main ones, like addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. Okay? So, here is how it's going to look. So today we're going to get into geometry. We're going to be doing geometry, some algebra, and mainly those two and arithmetic. Those are the main three that will be, that will be encompassing. Maybe there's another one, but, I'll probably tell you on the way. So, geometry today, okay? So, it'll be part geometry. We'll probably do 1 to 2 to 3 things each day. So today we'll get into some geometry lines, like line segments and, never endings and all those types of things. And then right angles, okay? Like finding right angles and everything. And if we have time, then we might as well do a couple story problems, okay, using addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. This is all day 1 stuff. So then day 2 is, which is going to be number charts, factor trees, and number charts and factor trees. That's day 2, which is going to be like having a rule, like say times 3, and with 2 columns, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, taking that number and then, following the rule and adding it in the next column, say. Factor tree is like having a number and like addition, subtraction, multiply, and divide, problems and equations to get those numbers as answers. And then solving big numbers like multi-digit numbers, addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. We'll probably go through that as well. So number charts and factor trees is day 2. Place value and solving big equations is day 3. Day 4 is integers and inverse operations. Day 5 is fractions. Day 6, so let's see here. So integers is, I'm going to actually change something. So day 4 is integers. Day 5 is inverse operations. Day 6 is fractions, and day 7 is less than, greater than, and then day 7 is is also decimals. So 5 and above, give it a shove. 4 and below, leave it alone. Integers, the integer number line, positive, negative, and numbers, and how to solve basic computational integer problems, addition, subtraction, multiply, divide. inverse operations is going to be algebra, variable, and then, an equation. We'll look at that, okay? And then, inverse, the keyword for that is opposite, and we'll get into that. Place value, place value as well as reading, being able to read big numbers. So place value, say 1/10, hundreds, all those types of things. So that's all of what we're going to be looking at, okay? And I will hope and pray that I can stick to this chart and this, I want to say, structure, because if there's one thing that you'll learn about me is that I am spontaneous. I do want to change my mind, so hopefully I can do it without finding a better way. Alright, so it'll be the test. It'll be a good test for me. Okay, everybody. So, I'm going to flip the board around, okay? And now we're going to be beginning on our problems. So this will be the side of the board that will contain all of the work and all of the content that will, the side that I'll be continuously changing while we're writing out all the equations and everything. But that side of the board is not going to be changing. Okay? So I'm going to get rid of a couple of things here. Now, I'm just going to kind of title this off here so that you can see. I'm going to erase every little speck to get all the little details off. Alright, now, I will hope and pray that me being able to explain and describe all this stuff works out, okay? But you have to pull your weight, and you have to listen and try to understand through, maybe if I'm speaking in code one day. Alright, so we're going to begin with some geometry. And there's no question on how long these will take. It just all depends on the lessons. So geometry. We're going to begin with geometry. Now, as we're going through this, I'm going to be quizzing you. Oh, did I mention we're going to be doing geometry today? Okay. Lines and all that stuff. Right angles. We're also going to be looking at shapes and right angles, and also, how many sides does each shape have. So we're going to begin with geometry, okay, which is, a good thing to start. You're not getting into the numbers and everything, okay? Okay. Alright. So, let's begin. Can all of you see that? Can all of you see it? Okay? Now, what I want you to do is, right now, get out whatever sheet of paper that you have. Okay? Or get out the notebook. And then I want you to write down on the top of the page, geometry and lines. I want you to title it. And if you have a notebook, down at the bottom, put a page number, okay? Geometry and, put a little and symbol, and then lines down there. Okay, I'll give you some time to do that, and then I want you to draw this out. Okay, so put a line. Okay, so put line, make it as straight as you can. Mine is not perfectly straight, but it will do fine. And then on the two ends of it, put 2 dots, okay? So that's what I want you to do right now, okay? I'll give you some time to do it, and then I want you all to give me a big thumbs up when you've done it. Okay, so we have this. Now, I'm going to quiz you. Who remembers in school when they were learning geometry, when they were learning, all about lines and, point A, point B? Okay, a couple of you? Okay, well, I'm going to try to call on all of you, okay? But I'm going to start with the people that, remember the best in this. So, let's just say that these 2 points right here are point A and point B. So these 2 different points have, letters. And a letter is called, what is a letter called? We're going to get to this with the algebra one. But what is the letter called in math? Variable. And then in science, it's like, something that affects the outcome or, changes an experiment. But so, variables, so if you haven't wrote this down, then I want you to do so. So, variables are letters. And if it helps to be more specific, say letters in math, okay? So, that's that. I'm just gonna stick that over there. Okay, so variables are letters. So let's say for these 2 different points, we have point A and point B. Now, with this drawing, okay, I thought that I would start out with this because it doesn't encompass any numbers, which is the most of what we're going to be dealing with. So this is a good, easy thing to begin with. But so, I'm going to be quizzing you. Who can tell me what this shape of the line is? Yes, Jonathan. Which is actually Julie Esquimul's husband. See the importance of writing your name on those sticky notes? Okay, glad I thought of that. What? Okay, sorry, I was... Okay, wonderful. So this is called a line segment. So in the notes, I can hear the wind out there, it's kind of brisk. So, in the notes, hope that you've written the title page out and, drew this, okay, and I want you now to write down, put a colon or something, and then write down line segment for this, okay, and then we're going to talk about it. Alright, so that's how we're going to do that, okay, so when you're taking notes, you'll write it down and then we'll talk about it, okay? So, do that. Alright. Now, a line segment. So, with the line segment, it really depends on what direction that you're looking at it in. So if you're looking right, if you're, going from left to right, okay, like you're reading a book, this first dot over to the left would be the beginning point, or also called the beginning segment. So, you can write this down in your notes if you want to. So beginning point off to that dot to the left. If you're looking left to right. So actually write down left to right and then dot over, on that dot over to the, the left of, that line segment, write down begin point. Okay? And so, also write down end point. Okay, so end point. So it's beginning point and end point. Meaning that, okay, I'm going to explain it. But so, write that down on that dot over to the left, and then the one over to the right, do the same thing. And also just flip them. So, end point, begin point. Okay? And I'll talk about it. So, with these 2 dots, now if you're going from left to right, if you're looking this way, which is, typically, and most commonly how you would look, this would be the starting point, this would be the ending point, okay? But if you're looking right to left, if you're going the other way, this would be the beginning point, and then this would be the 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 end the ending point. So so that's what we're going to be looking at for here. It's not that we're going to be adding on another part, but that's going to be another thing. But so now we're going to talk about this. So the word in this is segment. What is a segment? Can somebody tell me what a segment is? Yes, wonderful. It's a part of a line. This is a part, okay, with a starting and an ending point, because a segment has a starting and an ending point, which these two dots symbolizes. When you have a segment of a line, it's clear in that way, and you'll be able to see, because the line starts here, and then ends there, and begins here and ends there, however direction that you're looking at it, but a starting and an ending point. So this is not a full line, although it could be, but it's called a segment of a line. And a segment, as Mike defined really, really well, is a part of a line. This is a part of, say, a really, really long line. Okay, so this is a part of it. And you can see, obviously, with the two dots. But if we, so also, also what I want you to do here, while I'm remembering, write down the definition of the word segment. Okay, so write down that definition, then we're going to be moving on. So say, and apply it to this situation. So a part of a really, really long line with a definite beginning and ending point. That's the definition I want you to jot down. Okay, now what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be, just erasing this. So let's make that a little smaller. So, let's see here. So we have this line here. Okay, we have this line. You realize that, number one, I have increased the length of it, okay, and I've gotten rid of the dots, symbolizing beginning and ending. The 2 points on the edge of the dots, that kind of lock it in, I want to say. So I've gotten rid of the dots, and I've expanded it in size. Okay, so this line, what I want you to do is I want you to draw out just a flat line, as straight as you can. That's the next one that I want you to do. Okay, in your notes. So just make a flat, straight line. Okay, we're not gonna do up and down lines or different shapes. That's not necessary. We're not gonna do that here. But you can make up and down lines and do the same exact things that I'm doing, although I'm going to do my lines across. And when we may come back to geometry and getting into the really complicated stuff along the way, I might add that in. But this is what we're going to be doing today. Okay? So write that straight line down. Alright. So with a straight line, with no dot on this side or that side, this would be a line. This would be, it'd still be a line segment, but it would, also a segment, part of that definition, starting and ending point. A segment, already drawn, in geometry terms. Okay, a segment has a beginning and an ending point with those two dots. But now the next term, after you've drawn this in, is to write down, never let's see here. So, just write down never-ending line. Okay, so write that down. Obviously, because it's never-ending. Okay, so on this example, this line, say, is in the middle of a really, really long, of a really, really big line. And it does not show a starting point or an ending point. It's just, kind of in the middle. It's just, kind of a line in the middle of a really, really long line. So to be able to do this, to show that it is in the middle, some will in there at least, not the beginning or the ending, we would make arrows. We would draw in arrows. And you've probably all seen arrows, and I want to explain this a little bit for you to understand. So, you obviously know the right arrow looks like this, okay, and it goes right, okay, and then the left arrow goes like this because it's pointing left, and then up arrow like that, and then down arrow just like so here. So actually, if you want to, I would requirely recommend that you on the end of that line, I want you to, and you don't have to put a definition for never-ending line, because that's self-explanatory. Okay, but you maybe just put like a line in the middle of, like a part of a line, okay, with no starting and ending point, in the middle of a really, really big line. So we have this line that has no definite beginning and ending point because there's no dots, and it's just kind of like a like it doesn't start from there, but it's just and doesn't end there. It keeps going this way. It keeps going to the right. Okay. In whatever direction that you're looking at, you're going left to right, it would not matter here. Okay, so write those arrows in, and I want to talk about arrows. So when it comes to arrows, to be able to tell, if the arrow is, east to west to north to south, right to left to up to down, you would be able to tell by looking at number one. Telltale sign is the the little thing that looks like that. Okay, which, spoilers, is the greater than sign. Okay, greater than. Okay, and we're going to also apply this to when we're talking about integers on a number line. So when we have an arrow, that has this, particular, direction, and it's telling us with, this is a greater than sign. Greater than is getting bigger, and on a number line, going from, smallest to biggest, we're getting from smallest and we're getting bigger. We're increasing. We're going this way. Okay, and we're going right. We're going in that direction. And it also depends upon this line, that line right here. And, as you can tell, the arrow is pointing forward. Okay, and also by the less than greater than. Remember that the line has to go into what's called the mouth of the arrow, and the mouth of the arrow is kind of, I want to say, that area right down there. Okay, so that line is going into going into that, I want to say the middle of the yellow over there. Okay, and yellow, and just to draw it out, this would not make sense. This would not make sense because the line is not going into the mouth. It's rather going to the back of its head. Rather, if I want to say it. So arrows don't look like that. Arrows don't look like this. The line doesn't go, start there and then go from behind the arrow. The arrow, to be able to tell the direction, the line would be going this way, okay, into the mouth, looking like this here and not this there, okay? So now we're going to talk about the next one. That brings me to the next one, which is one arrow that looks like that. So this is called the less than sign. And if you're getting less than, you're getting smaller, and that is, you're getting, bigger over here, and then you are decreasing, going further to the left. Okay, so, especially on the integer number line. So, looking at this, you can obviously tell because the line is going in the mouth of the arrow, which, that line tells what direction, and also, this is the line going in the direction, and this is, and then this part of it is the direction that the line is going in. So this is the line part of the arrow, and then this, this part of it is the direction. So line and then direction. Okay, that it's going in. This left, smaller, this that way, and then greater, ultimately. So that's what it means. So remember, always going into the mouth of the arrow is what it's called. Okay, so this line goes further this way, further this way as the line, and then the directions pointing is going right. Any line that's going to the right has this. Any line that's going to the left has that. Okay, so it's going further left, further right. Okay, and as I said, that one does not matter. But what about this? I'm going to erase a couple things here because we're going to change one or two things here. So,